We are what we are because we have been what we have been. Everyone has wishes which he would not like to tell others, which he does not want to admit even to himself. Dreams with a painful content are to be analyzed as the fulfillment of wishes. The next one is Young. He said, the dream shows the inner truth and reality of the patient as it really is, not as I conjecture it to be, and not as he would like it to be, but as it is.
Interesting.
I think there is multiple types of dreams now. It's like more of like a kaleidoscope of different dreams meaning different things, or different types of like experiences in the subconscious.
Yeah.
But with those two quotes, like I think on some level, it's either, for lack of a better term, lifelong dreams.
Lifelong dream? Like recurring dreams?
Yeah, well, like you have a dream for who you might become or be. Although we are only who we are. Like Freud said, but then also at the same time, it's that idea of subconscious experience and having fear dreams or frustrating dreams or whatever it is, like nightmares you can call them as well, right? And those are just other things that like you need to dig up and make peace with, but you avoid in your consciousness. But then it will come up in your subconscious through dreams.
Yeah. When you're awake in your physical form, you can avoid a lot of things. And then when you fall asleep and your astral form is loosed from your physical form and you enter the dream world, there's a lot of stuff you can't really hide from. You're like a magnet to all the shit you have to deal with, and it'll just come to you, or you'll go to it. And, in the physical world, you can just plant your feet on the ground and stop yourself from moving. In the astral world, you get sucked around and pushed and pulled to all the things that attract you, all the things that repulse you. And you definitely face things more in a dream in a more visceral way than most people will in their physical lives. Yeah. Like dreaming makes you deal with it. The dream experience is an astral experience according to tradition. It's like what people call your soul or your astral body that experiences the astral world, which is like a slightly more subtle layer of reality. And you can experience it automatically when you fall asleep and you have a dream, or you can do some astral projection techniques that people teach sometimes and do it consciously. So when you do it, asleep, most people won't have very much control over it unless you're lucid dreaming.
Yeah, which is so much fun.
Yeah.
Lucid dreaming is like my favorite thing.
Yeah, you do it a lot, right? Yeah.
Like every morning. And it's weird how it's like in the morning, usually.
Like 4 in the morning, something like that?
Yeah, between 4 and 6. Like,
okay.
if you like roll or move because you're like starting to come out of like your deep REM sleep, it helps you be aware of like your physical being. And the awareness of your physical being is like that little like trick to let your mind know that I'm still in a dream and now I have control over the dream. Because I'm still dreaming, it's still there, but my body woke up my like physical consciousness, and now I can do anything I want in my dream, and like it's so much fun because whatever creative thing I might have in my mind, I can like then create it in the dream. And it could be manifesting conversations. It could be, I know how to fly now, like whatever it might be. Or I can like make a cartoon and see all these like crazy creative like paintings and stuff that I would never be able to in the conscious realm actually create. You know, and you just have fun with it, you know. Yeah. So there's that, and then the other one where you're just like deep dreaming, and it's something that's happening to you, and you don't have any control over it, and it's scary. I think that's real deep subconscious fears. And then there's that last one where, and this is only from my own personal experience, that last one where it's a little bit of both, where you are in a dream, but like your consciousness is awake, and you have very strange experiences that are unexplainable. You know, like where like you get out of bed the next day and you're like, that was real. I sat up in my bed and experienced this. I was physically awake. My eyes were open.
Yeah.
Did that not happen? Because it did to me.
Right.
What's that?
I mean, do you mean like what some people would refer to as the alien encounter experience?
Well, that's one of them, yes. That and like people that have passed coming to you.
Yeah, which I would argue
Apparitions.
are the same thing, just wearing different masks.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
because like, you know, the astral world, it's a real place. You know, it's hard for modern people to stomach, but it can be experienced, and it's an objective reality, and it's populated, and it's populated by memories of people that we knew. You know, like necromancers or mediums will think they're actually talking to dead people, when really they're talking to like a virtual version of that dead person, like a memory of that dead person that can act like that person would act if it really were their soul. It's like an akashic impression of a person. That's what most mediums hang out with when they're hanging out with people's dead relatives and friends.
Necromancers.
Yeah, like raising the dead. Usually that's like people who are talking to spirits are
It's like
considered.
the Green Man.
The Green Man?
Yeah.
He's a necromancer?
I would assume.
They,
He's like the father of necromancers.
yeah, you mean like the sort of Gwyn in the Celtic mythology, the Lord of the Hunt, the Lord of the Underworld, the king of the
He
Underworld?
impregnates Mother Earth every year, and then when he's not fucking,
Yeah, he hangs out with a lot of dead people.
he ferries souls to the other side.
Yeah. Yeah, in fact, like...
He's a necromancer. I never thought of it.
Or at least...
Damn, that should have been my character in Diablo 2. I always did Barbarian.
yeah.
Fuck.
I think I played as all of them. I played that game way too much. Yep.
Yep.
But yeah, some of the experiences are, you know, a lot of people will experience the same thing. And in modern empiricism, that's called consensus reality.
Mind blowing.
Yeah. So,
There's so much research.
yeah.
I mean, not to cut you off, keep your train of thought,
go
but
on.
like it's the same thing like the sleep paralysis monster.
Right. Yeah.
Everyone's
sits on your chest
experienced
or-
the exact same thing
Yeah.
in detail. You know, it's like I did some meditations and I met the Green Man, and I didn't know who the fuck this dude
Yeah,
was. Like, I
exactly.
don't know what that shit was about. And I explained it to the shaman that was bringing me through this meditation. He goes, "Holy shit, you met the Green Man." And I was like, "I met the who?" You know?
No, not the Who, the Green Man.
Yeah. Yeah. And I started researching it. I was like, this is exactly what I experienced. And it's all over the internet. And I had no idea about it. I had no understanding of it ever.
Yeah.
But it's exactly what I experienced. And why is it all over the internet that people have across existence, my squeaky headphones, have experienced the same exact thing?
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Right?
yeah. I mean,
So it's like the same thing with dreams on some level. Like there's something there.
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I think those nighttime experiences that occur are astral experiences, and you are having an encounter with astral beings, like real beings. The alien encounter one is particularly interesting because there are a few types of these beings that people encounter. What we call little grays, what we call the Nords, which look like humans.
The tall, like skinny grays.
And then the tall, skinny grays.
And then the small little grays.
Yeah, there are tall ones, small ones. There are ones that look like humans. And then there are, like, they're blonde-haired and blue-eyed or whatever. And then there are ones...
Oh, wow, they have hair?
Oh, yeah, they're just humans. They're just straight-up humans.
Oh.
I'm not saying they're humanoid. I'm saying they are humans.
Oh.
Like, people used to call them... In the 1950s, people used to say they were Venusians, that they were from Venus. And then when we sent probes to Venus and realized there was no civilization there, in the 80s, they started saying they were from the Pleiades. So now they masquerade around as Palladians. I just think they're Germans, to be perfectly fucking honest.
I was just going to say, is this what Hitler was on about?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, this was what...
Shut the front door.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. The Vril Society and the Thule Society had... these mediums. One of them was named Maria Orsich. Another was named Sigrun. They had these 5 women known as the Vril sisters. And they were mediums, trance channelers. And they channeled, they would go into a trance and start channeling other beings that would talk through them or auto-write using their hands. And they identified themselves as like humans from another planet, that they were the original Aryans that populated this planet.
Alarians.
Alarians, yeah. And yeah, they some say that's how the Nazis got technology for like UFOs and stuff, but from these trance channelers, from these alleged beings from space. Yeah, I mean, rule number 1 of occultism is never trust a medium, because you don't know. You can't identify whatever entity is speaking through them. You just got to take their fucking word for it. So it could have been anyone.
Yeah. You're blowing my mind.
They would appear as humans, and they looked Aryan.
Never trust a medium.
Yeah, well, it's not that you can't trust the medium. These are just regular people. But the entities that channel through the medium...
in occultism, it's about control.
What?
Occultism is about control.
No, it's not. Well, I mean, occultism is just a synonym for spirituality.
Yeah, I know, but like it can't. Well,
oh, you mean like left-handed occultism?
Well, sure. I mean, even religion, any type of like belief in one singular.
Well, I'm not talking about belief.
Okay, well,
I'm talking about actual technical practice.
Okay. Yeah,
I mean, there's left-handed occultism, which is like black magic, people trying to dominate others, and then there's occultism, which is just like meditating, meditation or something.
I'm sorry. Let me better put together my question.
Okay.
So, occultism says never trust a medium. Why?
Well, because you can't identify who's on the other end of the phone.
Why?
Because they could be tricking you.
Okay.
Because you...
Oh, so it's more of a safety thing?
Yeah.
Because I look at that as like a control thing. It's like, oh, if you have some type of different idea or something that's coming from a place that I don't understand, push it away.
No.
Which I think is like lame. Like, I'm more open.
No, it's because...
That's just how I took it. I don't know.
In my studies and experience with mediums is most of the time it is false knowledge that they spread. It leads to the destruction of humans. When you believe what a medium tells you, people wind up killing other people. People wind up killing themselves. People wind up committing acts of like sex crime.
Okay, well, all right.
Yeah, there's
Hold on. Let's reel back. What's the medium definition then?
Like, what does a medium think is happening to them?
Or what is a medium definition? Like the definition of like someone who is a medium. Right. Because couldn't there also be within the world of someone who's a medium be positive, negative, or straight down the middle?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a whole range of it. Like a medium is someone who's sensitive, psychically sensitive. Can empty their body.
Clairvoyant?
Well, no, that's different. Well, I mean, it's related. But a clairvoyant is just someone who can see invisible things and doesn't necessarily give up their own personality. A medium gives up part of their own personality to someone else. Shoot. Yeah, they can kind of empty their body out and allow someone else to enter it and use it.
I just struggle with that.
Mm-hmm. And so in a healthy traditional society, there would be protections in place to protect a medium, to make sure that only a benevolent entity, a higher entity, would enter into this person. Today, we don't live in a normal, healthy, traditional civilization. We live in a very ignorant and corrupt one. Mm-hmm. And so mediums they just open themselves up to whatever. And there's all types of tricksters out there, whether it's like a non-human trickster or whether it's a human trickster, because there are like certain groups of people who can telepathically project their mind into mediums and pretend to be like an alien from the Pleiades, when really it's just like some dude in Chicago. You know what I mean? And he's just like, oh, I'm the spiritual master from an alien planet. I'm going to teach you about spirituality. And really he's just like fucking with you. There are a lot of people like that. And they just take advantage of psychically sensitive people. Because there are no protections in place. Our government doesn't deal with this stuff. We have a secular government that doesn't deal with any of this kind of thing, except when the CIA does it.
Because it's not real.
Yeah, it's not real. The CIA knows it's real, and they exploit it. They're the people who will be putting shit in people's heads. You know, they're like the assholes who will take advantage of mediums instead of protecting us from these assholes. They are these assholes, and so these people can create dreamlike experiences. They can. You know, there's the whole MyLab phenomenon. That's a shorthand for military abduction. And they use psychic capabilities, whether it's technological or whether they're practicing occultists, is unclear and difficult to tell, or just like a mixture of the two. But they've developed a method where they can implant false memories, make you think you'd been abducted by aliens.
Oh, yeah.
When really it's just like some dude from the Air Force working with a CIA contractor.
Yeah, I just heard, I don't know where the heck I heard about this recently. Yeah. But they the question, was it you that told me?
Probably.
Where it's like this like process of like, can we implant false memories?
Oh yeah, I think we were talking about that like last week.
Yeah, with the spaceships. Yeah.
Tim,
So it's
Tim O'Neill, that journalist who found that document.
Very similar. Yeah.
It's probably the exact same thing.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I know we're like in a spiral.
Yeah. Okay. Dreams, CIA, what's happening?
I'll bring it back a little bit though. So, I've had only one dream in my life where I believe, which sounds crazy, that I was abducted. Mm-hmm. Right? Now, I did research on it, and there is a lot of people that experience the same exact thing, where the UFO that shows up, that abducts you, initially sounds like a helicopter. Right.
Yeah. And it's an interesting thing, because, you know, if you apply Occam's razor, the simplest answer, it is a helicopter. And then they were able to alter your perception of it somehow. That would be the simplest explanation. Or you can get into the more complicated explanations, which, maybe the alien technology just sounds like a helicopter. And you get into all that stuff, which is like, well, maybe, sure.
Yeah, but like when it landed, it just like, it wasn't like, it was just like.
It just stopped. Yeah. It's like the cattle mutilations with the helicopters.
Yeah, and I sat up in bed, like, dream state again, right? But, like, I know I physically sat up, looked around my room, and I saw triangular prisms with light inside shooting through the blinds in all different directions, almost like crystal. Like you see, like you look at a crystal and it's got all these like colors inside of it, but triangle like tubes, like all over the room. And then I woke up 4 hours later, like, did I not wake up and sit up and see that?
Yeah, maybe that's far out, man.
Yeah,
I wonder. I mean,
is it just a dream?
It's
just a weird astral projection into my mind connecting to some other thing in the universe, or, you know, it's like, you don't know.
It could
dreams
be.
Are weird. Dude.
Yeah, dreams are very weird, and they have very visceral experiences attached to them sometimes. And, you know, there are people who will have dreams like that, and they'll wake up with marks on them, scars, puncture marks.
Well, I feel like after that experience, I was never the same person again.
Yeah, they're very transformative.
I see the whole world in a completely different perception.
Yeah. This is
It's almost like a college degree or some shit.
Right.
You know, it's like I was just like, oh fuck. This is what this world is now? Like, oh yeah, I could see it like that. That's fun. And if you try to bring it up to some random person, they're like,
well, yeah.
what's wrong with you? Let's give you drugs or something. You know?
Right.
Yeah,
And
it's like,
well, that's why in the ancient world, initiates had to keep their secrets, not because they were jealously guarding their spiritual knowledge. It was because people will crucify you if you talk about this shit to them. Like, people won't understand it. They'll kill you. Like, you keep these secrets for your safety. We're not jealously guarding spiritual knowledge or anything like that. It's because if we start talking about this stuff, no one's going to care, and they're going to persecute us.
yes.
So, like, these experiences are a lot like the shamanic rebirth ceremony, which has to do with re-entering the womb. And it's interesting because, you have the masculine symbol, which is obviously like an obelisk or like an erect cock, essentially, a lingam.
Big old ding dong.
Big old ding dong. And that's like a creative, action-oriented sort of symbol. And then you have the womb, which is a circle, usually symbolizes a circle or maybe an upside down triangle. Mm-hmm. Exactly. And so it's funny that a lot of UFOs are described as circles or triangles. And people who have these experiences are brought up into this egg-shaped circular object. It's like the cosmic egg. Mm. And then they have an experience where when they're finished with the experience, they feel different. They feel like they see the world more clearly. They see themselves more clearly. They are at like a higher state of activity. They feel happier. They feel more knowledgeable, more tranquil, a little bit more intelligent, and a little bit more creative. And it is like a rebirth. And it goes completely in line with all of the ancient symbolism of rebirth initiations that have to do with re-entering the cosmic egg and all that sort of thing. And it literally happens in an astral experience. And people will say like, oh, it was just a dream. It's like, well, but it had a real effect. It was an astral experience. That's sometimes it's a physical experience or it's a mixture of the two. And it's difficult to tell which. Sometimes there are people who say they witness someone getting abducted, getting pulled out by a beam of light into a ship or something. And then there are other times where someone will have an abduction experience and no one will have witnessed it. They won't have seen anything, but the person will have seen it. And like everybody was awake. So it's like there are these two kinds, but the effect is generally the same, is that this person has now transformed and sees things differently. And this is a type of initiation experience. And it's
almost, I mean, I don't know why, but it makes me think a lot of like the cultures that like when you turn 16 or 18 or whatever the fridge, and then they send you into the woods and come back with a tiger you killed.
Right. Some rite of passage.
Yeah, like go out and face all your fears and be alone and prove that you can be formidable alone. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
I think, unfortunately, that ritual has been so unbelievably watered down.
Yeah.
In most religions.
Oh, yeah.
That now that ritual literally means nothing because you're just given it. Mm-hmm. You're just there standing around like, huh?
Yeah.
What's going on? I have to dunk my face in this water? Okay. You did everything for me. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then you walk away and it's like, well, why can't you do anything for yourself? It's like, well, the most important thing in my entire, like, adult growth existence was done for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You couldn't let me into the woods alone in fear that I might die, but it's your responsibility to let me go into the woods and die if I'm not fucking strong enough. Like, like...
Yeah.
It's such a strange thing that's happened. I mean, these are ancient cultures that understand how to, like, deal with the process of growth in life.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, why did we just go? Well, I mean, again, my new thing, and it has everything to do with even with the dream world and all that stuff, is it's control.
Yeah, or negligence, or both.
Well, I think what happened. I think it's the opposite of negligence. I think it's control because of fear of outcome, and if you don't have control over outcome, then you yourself can't feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like just ass backwards.
Yeah.
It's against nature, completely against nature.
Oh, yeah. Freedom reasserts itself all the time.
Yeah.
Like, control is like paving over a lawn, and then the grass and the weeds come through anyway.
Precisely.
You have to constantly repave over it, and it's like, yeah, freedom wants to assert itself. Mm-hmm. And yeah, what you mentioned is totally true. It comes at it from both angles. You have the watered down rituals, the coming of age rituals in religion, where it's just like you take communion or you get a bar mitzvah or whatever, and it's just this. Well, it's just something you do when you're 13, and you just go and jump through these hoops,
13,
and
yeah.
like the kid doesn't really understand its importance. There might, there's some positive effect in it.
They're just doing it because their parents spent money on it and care and are like, well, this is what you do at this age. And they're like, well,
There is one
guess.
benefit to it because it's better than not doing it at all, essentially.
True, 100%. Yes, yes.
Because, this is the exoteric.
It's just like a whack version of like the reality of what it should be. That's my personal opinion.
Sure.
Send me in the woods, bro.
I'll play the devil's advocate or the priest's advocate in here.
Okay.
Where the real deeper esoteric ritual, the actual literally re-entering the cosmic womb and literally being reborn, is reserved for people who can handle that kind of power. And the mock version of it, that you do in like an institution, is an exoteric or for the masses version of it, where really when it comes to the masses, you just need them to behave. You need them to kind of believe in something higher than themselves so that they don't go around killing and raping each other. So like that ritual is good enough to get a person to follow certain human laws. Like, so you can just have a functioning civilization and just not worry about the masses. It's like, okay, the people who accepted communion are far less likely to rape and murder than someone who didn't. That's a stat that like
Shut the front door. Seriously?
Oh, well, of course, because they have religious moral values. Yeah. So they believe thou shalt not kill and yada yada. Oh yeah, I think Stanford Research Institute studied this back in the 70s. Yeah. But people who do even just an exoteric religious ritual are much more likely to be
exoteric or esoteric?
Exo with an X.
Okay, so what's the difference between esoteric and exoteric?
Eso means inner, exo means outer.
Oh, okay. I'm there. Continue.
Yeah. So like eso would be the real spiritual thing. Exo would be
I guess
kind
it
of
makes sense. Yeah, because you installed some type of like morals within your experience. I mean,
and ritualizing just makes them take it a little more seriously.
Yes, definitely. And again, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. Like I went through it and all this stuff. If anything, what I'm trying to say is like I should be like a little more hard-nosed.
Well, yeah, I mean, for someone like you, like you can accept and live up to the responsibilities of the more esoteric initiations. Most people, one, they're not interested. They don't want such a higher knowledge. Like most people are just okay with the belief. They don't need the actual knowledge. They're like, I'll believe in this God and I'll believe in these commandments, and that's good enough for me, and that's fine for them. And then there are some people who are like, but I want to see the fabric of reality. I want to know what's really going on.
Yeah.
That's a very, very, very tiny fraction of the human population who cares about knowledge like that.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So like that tiny fraction can get the real initiation. And then the masses, it's just good enough to get an exoteric version of it.
Okay, so I have a perfect segue then from there, right? Mm-hmm. What about, and how do I boop, boop, boop. Phrase this. do, 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 do. I've had one, and I'm not trying to talk about myself. But
from your own experience is fine.
The God dream experience.
Oh, your like father sensation one that you told me about years ago?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Have you had anything like that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a waking experience. It wasn't a dream. It was a...
Oh, I thought I was awake.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I was dreaming or I was lucid dreaming. I was like,
Mm-hmm. But it was in the middle of the night. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. Mine was I was watching a YouTube video on my iPad, just lying on my couch, and it was it must have been like some 15-year-old girl who was talking about a dream that her mother had.
In the YouTube video?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It just got recommended to me. I was going on like a Christian kick, like a Christian mysticism kick this year. Like this was, I don't know, this might have been like 10 years ago.
You didn't start knocking on people's doors.
Oh, no. I was looking into mysticism. I wasn't fucking missionary. I just wanted to understand the sort of Christian side of deep religion and or spiritual experience. And so this girl was talking about a dream that her mother had about Armageddon and how there were these two camps, two different types of people where we were experiencing the first initial thing, which is there were meteors coming out of the sky and the world was going to be destroyed by these meteors. And this was just a dream that this middle-aged woman had. And the people who were like materialists, atheists, put their faith in science or whatever, and you know, just the worldly things. Like when the meteors hit, they exploded and they saw destruction. The cities, you know, the buildings exploding, people dying, craters in the ground. But the people who had a spiritual tradition to fall back on when the meteors hit, it was a shower of golden light and everything turned into like flowers and trees and
golden shower.
Yeah, and so the world was like healed and renewed, and corruption was like when these meteors hit, it was like an explosion of renewal.
Wow. And
then two different worlds were created, a destroyed world, a hellscape, and like a heaven world. And this girl then said, and when my mom told me that, I felt this feeling in my chest, and she goes, oh, like that, and she points right at the camera, and right as she said that, I felt like my heart lift up out of my chest.
Whoa.
And just floated like this ball of warmth in front of me. And like this YouTube video was recorded like 8 months previous. It wasn't like a live video or anything. And the way the girl was like, oh, just like that, like pointed at me while it was happening to me. And I was like, what the fuck is going on right now? It was the trippiest thing. And it was just this feeling of just like bliss.
You weren't on drugs?
No. I was completely sober, 100%.
Yeah. Both of my extremely spiritual experiences, I was 110% sober.
It was mad trippy, man. I'll never forget that.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, it was really weird.
But that feeling of bliss, that's what Yeah, I had, that's fucking wild.
So weird.
I think it's you know, sometimes, and it's not Christian or Hindu or Buddhist or Muslim or anything. It's not this, that, or the other thing. Mm-hmm. Those are all just like books on your shelf.
They're masks that the tradition wears.
Yeah.
There's only one tradition.
Yes.
And it just
sometimes, but for lack of a better term, there's a hand of God that comes through a realm and touches you. Mm-hmm. Not in a sexual way.
But in the Depeche Mode kind of way.
Yeah. There's just like... Yeah. Because, I had that same exact feeling. I was like a kid, and I had like, I guess, it was early 90s, something like that. I had like the like closet door. They were still like the wood grain doors. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
you know, before
I still have that.
Yeah, like before they did the wood grain doors where they have like the like rectangles and you paint it.
Right.
That's like the new.
Oh okay, yeah, sure.
Thing that you do where it's like a white door with rectangle like.
Yeah.
Back in the day, it was just a straight ass wooden door, hollow but with grain on it and stained. Yeah. That was what used to be cool, right? So I had that door for this closet, and I would see demons in the grains of the wood. Yeah. And I'd fucking wake up crying. Like, I started doing a thing where I was like, fucking open my door. I need to leave the door into my room open. Mm-hmm. Like, because I can't, like, I need to know there's an out. Like I can like get up and dip, you know.
Need an exit strategy.
I keep seeing demons in my door, you know.
Yeah.
Whatever. I mean, it's young, and not young, and
Carl Jung.
yeah, his dreams, right? And then one day I saw, and this is one of only, I guess the first time out of 3 times in my life where I believe I saw an apparition.
Okay.
And it was like this woman with a cart and like was in my hallway and like stopped and like looked at me with her cart.
Wow.
In my hallway, and I was like, what the fuck? And then like kept going, whatever. It was almost like a medical cart or something like that. Very strange. Huh. So then some time goes by, maybe like a few days or 2, and then I have another like crazy like nightmare. Like you're a kid, like you're like crying a bit, like I'm scared, whatever that bullshit, right? And then I see like a cross in the wood grain on the door that always had demons in it. Mm-hmm. And I felt like comfortable, and I rolled over and like fell asleep on my back. And then I felt my whole body lift up off of the bed. And bliss, like you said.
Yeah.
Like just warmth, happiness. Mm-hmm. Perfect, like whatever, kind of like this shamanic egg ceremony kind of thing where it's like you're back into just like I'm untouched, I'm perfect. You know, whatever. And then I saw like a golden throne. And then I was just thinking, Father, whatever, which I connected to God or whatever. I mean, I don't know if that was like Catholic, like imprinting in my brain because I was young or something.
Not likely.
But it didn't feel like that. Yeah. It was like way more spiritual. It's like, you know, we have these small things that happen during our life where it's one dream that was 10, 15 years ago and you don't forget it because it was so impactful. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, grab anyone on the street. Are they going to tell you the dreams they had from Monday through Friday on a Saturday afternoon? Fuck no, but you know they had dreams. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure that person could tell you the dream they had 6, 8, 10, 12 years ago that fucked with them.
Right, yeah.
What is that?
Yeah, that's either a traumatic experience that you can't forget or or a really good transformational experience.
I look at it positive. I mean, most of those extreme experiences I think are all like what you said that you experienced. Like I would assume it sounds like it's something that was positive.
Oh yeah. I have horrible nightmares that I remember though.
Me too.
Yeah. That have stuck with me my whole life. Yeah. Those were not nice experiences, and those stuck with me. Mm-hmm. And so did the good ones. True. But pretty much anything that, you know, either traumatic on one end or transformative on the other is going to stick with you. And
it's fascinating.
Yeah, they're probably, you know, they're meaningful. Like that's the debate. Are dreams meaningful or not? Modern therapists will tell you they're not.
Well, that's stupid.
Well, most
in my
will.
opinion.
Unless you get some like hippie therapist who thinks they are.
Why would someone say that's not meaningful?
Well, a lot of people, psychiatrists mostly, will consider you just like a bundle of chemicals. They don't think you're, you know, they look at you like a dead body. You know, they don't know anything about life or the soul or the mind or consciousness or anything. You're just a collection of chemicals to them. Yes. So any dream you have is just a meaningless firing of neurons and hormones in your brain, and it doesn't mean anything. And if it's an unpleasant one, I'll just prescribe you these chemicals that you can ingest to change the chemicals in your brain, and then you can shut the fuck up and feel better. Mm-hmm. And, you know, that's the modern medical world.
Preach. Yeah, no, it's so true. It's such a shame. It really is.
Yeah, no one gets to the root of like, well, why are you having this dream? Because to a modern psychiatrist, there really is no why. To a psychologist, there is. You know, that's the difference between psychiatry, which considers everything to be chemical, and a psychologist who's just trying to figure something out. And a good psychologist will just really try to just objectively figure it out. Like, what really is the cause here? Is it a chemical cause? It is a non-chemical cause? It is a spiritual thing? Is it a psychic thing? Like, a good open-minded psychologist will be totally open to whatever the cause might be. Might be. So most psychiatrists don't give a shit about any of that. They just want to give you drugs, make you feel better, get back to work.
Yeah. I'm gonna throw up thinking about that. Like, it's such a shame. It's such a shame. I mean,
sometimes a chemical solution is good for a short-term thing. If you're like gonna kill yourself or kill someone, then for the safety of yourself and society, like, yeah, you might want to dope that person up for a little while, but that's not a long-term solution. You have to figure out why this person is like this, and you have to get real deep, and then eventually that person should not have to take any drugs.
Yes.
I can understand drugs for very short-term things in emergency situations. I'm not against that. And I'm not like going to give out medical advice on the internet when it's like I'm going to get thrown in jail for talking about this shit.
Which is insane.
Yeah, but like
dude, it's like alcoholism. Right? You shouldn't have 5 drinks a day every single day for the rest of your life because it's going to fuck your liver up and fuck your body up. Yeah. And you're going to die. Oh, but you could take 15 pills a day for the rest of your life. And it might have some side effects and fuck your liver up, but at least you're a zombie.
Yeah,
that still goes to work every day.
Right.
It's like, whoa.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Yeah.
People that...
It's crazy.
Yeah. Like,
I don't know why I went on that rant because we're talking about dreams. But
it's related because, it's like, why are people having certain dreams?
Yeah.
That
was my point.
Yeah, when you're depressed, you're going to have certain types of dreams. And
like the spider dream.
And is it transformative or is it traumatic?
Yeah. Spider dreams, right? That means you're feeling overwhelmed or you feel like someone is lying to you.
I guess it depends on what the spider is doing.
Yes, that's true. So there's other details in that. Like, are they attacking you or are they just like crawling on you or everywhere? But
crawling up a wall and you're looking at it.
Yeah.
Because that's good luck.
Yes, yeah. And
like overcoming difficulties if you watch a spider crawl up a wall.
Or there's the other one where you lose a tooth.
Oh, yeah. Those are like a lot of modern people have teeth loss dreams. That's a big one these days.
I think, well, from my research, losing a tooth in a dream means it's a symbol of growth.
It's a type of rebirth. Like you lose your baby teeth and then you become an adult.
Exactly, right? Like that traumatic experience of losing your teeth when you're a child and then you're like, oh, wait, but I still got like a big tooth now? It's coming through? So it's like in your psyche, it trained you that like in periods of large growth, you lose teeth. So you might have dreams that your teeth fall out. When you're going through a big period of like either spiritual or relationship, whatever.
Something's changing.
Yeah.
And that brings me back to the second point I wanted to talk about when we were talking about the watered down and bad modern versions of coming of age ritual.
Oh, yes.
Because like on the one side you have the religious side where it's that exoteric thing that we discussed. The other side is like, oh, you go to college and you get a job. That's our society's coming of age ritual. You go to college, you get a job, now you're an adult.
Yeah.
Well, this is obviously dysfunctional in the highest. It has no spiritual component whatsoever. It has no communal component whatsoever. And because it lacks the communal component, people look for it and they become like Marxists or leftists when they go to college because they're into communism and like they want to create an artificial communal component to it. And because it's completely lacking, like a real coming of age ritual doesn't exist in our society, people have these compensation experiences, what Carl Jung would call a compensatory experience, because you are suppressing these things that we need. You don't have a ritual, a coming of age ritual. You don't have spiritual institutions. You don't have spiritual experiences. So these things they're going to come out in one way or another. So a lot of people have alien abduction experiences. And because they don't have a real spiritual experience or a real spiritual tradition to fall back on,
they have to find it within themselves.
Or it comes at them and it's all confused and terrifying and they think it's fucking aliens from space and shit, and that's how it appears to them. Because it's out of control. They had no training, but they needed it because certain types of people need this ritual, need this transformation experience. And they were not prepared for it. They did not know they needed to prepare for it. And it just comes at them in this terrifying, abrupt, compensation experience instead of a nice, gradual, well-trained, well-brought-up experience that you could begin when you're a kid that culminates when you're in your 20s. This will just hit you when you're at some point in your life, and it'll just explode as some trippy-ass alien abduction horror show. Or you'll have dreams with your teeth falling out, or your skin falling off, or your hair falling out, and things like that, because those are symbols of rebirth and decay of something old to allow for the growth of something new. And they come at you in these like dreams and intense astral experiences because we lack the normal, healthy sort of teach kids about this stuff, let them have these experiences, ritualize it, bring it out in their lives, let it grow. Like, you know, when you plant a seed and you grow it into a flower, you got to take care of it. You got to water it. You got to put sunlight on it. But if you get rid of the water and get rid of the sunlight, it's going to try and like grow in weird ways to find the sunlight. And then it's going to like, you know, it's just going to be a fucked up type of sunlight and water that it gets. It's going to be fine with polluted water. It's going to be fine with just a crack in the window or something like that. Or like a fucking UV light bulb will be good enough for this goddamn flower. Because it's not getting what it actually needs. So it'll
find a way.
It'll find a way, and it'll be confusing and scary. You'll have a weird dream or a weird experience, and it'll be intense.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of these dreams come from.
It's not divine.
Yeah, well, it is, but it's like what Philip K. Dick would say.
Well, the foundation of it is divine.
Yeah.
That's how it's able to survive, but it's not
the
like
mask it wears is not.
It's not pure divinity.
Exactly.
Which is technically very easy to reach, but we don't. As a society, we do not pine towards divinity, and when you do, that's an issue apparently.
Well, yeah, because
you have to put your shoes on every morning and tie them this way, and you need to fucking go to your job and make a certain amount of money. You need to have enough fans that love you, you know, make your, like, you know, I mean, there's such a disconnect now through technology as well. Like, if you look at, like, our parents' generation to our generation to the next generation, and they're doing shit like TikTok, OnlyFans, Twitch, all this fucking shit. We're already like, where the hell are you going? Like, I'm trying to keep up, you know? And like our parents' generation are doing the same thing. We're like, what the hell are you doing thinking about? Like, what the fuck? You know, it's like, it's all the same like type of thing. It's just, but finding peace within how every generation has a different perception and growth. And I guess at the same time, it's like the reason there's a frustration between each generational gap is because there's a internal monologue of like how things should be to try to get somewhere that is closer to divinity. But with technology, it's like you can't forget that's like another little cog in your wheel now. It's a different world. You know, it's continuously a different world. You know, it's like we can easily get a Kobe steak from the meat market, some ridiculous shit, cook the most beautiful steak you ever had in your life, but like, you know, 100 years ago, something like that, like all meat needed to be cured because you could die if you ate it. Or it lasted longer because they didn't have refrigerators and like all that crap, right? So it's like, where's that thin line between messing with the growth of technology that is supposed to make our lives easier, but are actually making it a little more complex because our consciousness questions, and where's the thin line between questioning a little too much, where then you get frustrated and you feel like you have your fight or flight thing kick in, and I need to fight this because I don't understand, like, what the fuck is happening, you know, like, what the hell is TikTok? I don't understand TikTok. Oh, I hate TikTokers because I don't get it, you know, and these type of, like, fears within our daily life, I think, are something that then manifests in our dreams. Mm-hmm. But in very strange ways, and there's a weird like arc connection that you need to do on your own, maybe meditating or something like that to make sense of it. and be like, okay, so this is how like I really feel like deep inside my subconscious. Let me take a deep breath, think about it, try to study it, you know. And you know, again, there's also spiritual realms that I think that we can connect to within our dreams and stuff like that, but that's one of like the 3 or 4 different versions of dreaming that I think can add confusion to like your own perception in life.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that 4th type of dreaming is dealing with what you've experienced in your normal physical life.
Yeah.
And just digesting it. I think I use the example, like if your
Am
mouth...
I too Buddhist all of a sudden? I don't know.
I don't know.
Nothing matters, really.
Nothing matters.
I mean, it kind of doesn't, right?
Well, that's a whole debate.
I mean, does
Are you a
anything
nihilist?
really matter?
Maybe. I mean, there are people who think it does, people who think it doesn't.
Well, I think the idea of nothing matters is because, like, sometimes you need to be that aggressive to kind of rein in the boat.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, if you're obsessing over meaning and you want your life to be as meaningful as possible, and then you start getting a sense of self-importance, that's definitely bad. And you need to, like, get rid of that arrogance. And then you could easily get rid of that arrogance by having, like, some type of ontological nihilistic idea of, like, oh, I'm just a speck of dust on a speck of dust in a floating void and nothing matters.
Oh, what was the Carl Sagan quote?
I can't remember.
Just a speck of dust, what is it?
But yeah,
a mote of dust on a light beam or something like that.
Yeah, and then you can get that in your head that, like, oh, it's like you can wind up like going down that nihilistic path where everything is just chaos, meaningless chaos, nothing matters. But that's like this. That's just another extreme of the same viewpoint. Everything matters or nothing matters, and those are kind of the same idea,
right? I mean, because like if nothing matters, right? The idea is not that you're nihilistic. It's more or less the idea of like majority, like what percentage would you say of things that you experience in day-to-day life that there's no reason for it to actually affect you?
Right. Yeah, I think on this earth, it's a high percentage.
Right? Like,
yeah.
80, I was going to say 85.
Yeah, probably around there. That's honestly where I would put it, too. Yeah. Like, 85% of human life on Earth is meaningless.
Yeah, you're just like...
Sure. There's just a lot of chaos and a lot of accidents that happen.
You're just like...
Yeah.
It's just that all the time.
Yeah, like...
If I was missing a tooth, it would have been a good sound.
Nice whistle.
Yeah, I can't whistle.
But that, that relates to the dream thing, like... If the astral world is a slightly more spiritual, slightly higher world than the physical world, there's a world above the astral world, like a spiritual world, and then there's like the world of the absolute, right? So the physical world would be like among the furthest places you could be from the absolute. It's like if you are existing in the absolute, there's like, utter freedom. It's just God's law, the absolute law, whatever. It's complete fucking freedom. And the more dense and materialized you get as you go down away from the absolute, you're subject to more mechanical laws the further you are from that divinity. There are more random things that happen to you. You have a lot less control over your environment. You have a lot less control over your life the further away you are from the absolute. The closer you are to the absolute, the more freedom you have. So we live in a world that's pretty far away from the absolute. So the only way a human can have freedom is by putting forth enormous efforts to earn it. A lot of people like to think they're born with free will and free thinking and things like that. I don't think so at all. I think most people are born utterly enslaved to a whole number of laws. Material, physical laws like gravity. You can't fucking fly, man. Like, you can't tell me you have absolute free will. You can't get the fuck off the ground. So don't give me that bullshit. Or like emotional freedom. It's like, no, you have negative reactions to things that you don't want to have. Nobody wants to get angry at stuff, but we do. So you don't have emotional freedom. Don't tell me you've got emotional freedom. You can earn it if you work your ass off on it. But you don't just have it. And that's kind of, there's a lot of shit in human life, at least as it is now in this material consciousness, this material experience. Most of life is definitely like mechanistic meaninglessness. But a little bit of it,
that's a great way to put it,
is that divinity, that connection to the divinity. And you can change that ratio. If 85% of it is meaningless and 15% of it is spiritually meaningful, you can increase that 15% and decrease the 85%. You can have more freedom and more spirituality and be less subject to mechanistic laws.
Yeah, and it's interesting, like, the more you tend to do that for yourself, the more, like, blowback you get.
Oh, yeah.
Scares people.
Yep. I mean, it's...
And the more it makes you feel completely disconnected from that 85%. You're just like...
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because...
what do you want?
People will subconsciously see you gaining more freedom than they have. Mental freedom, spiritual freedom, emotional freedom, whatever. Even physical freedom in very advanced states.
Yes.
And, they're jealous or they're afraid of it. They didn't get that secret key to unlock that secret door that you've got. And they subconsciously will think they're missing out on something. And they're like, no, just get a job and get married and have kids and do what I did. Do what I did. Validate my choices. Make the same choices I did and validate them.
Straight up.
Yeah, they just want you. They want to pull you back down to their level so that they don't feel so stupid for doing what they did with their lives.
I mean, it's like to put it in like a cute version. That's like if I tried to play gigs and play music and all this shit, and every musician in my band, I was like, "Why aren't you a fucking drummer?"
Right.
What do you want to play fucking guitar? You want to sing? Play piano? You loser? Get your shit together and play the fucking drums.
You do play the drums.
No, I know, because I love the drums. But it's that perception.
Yeah.
It's like I know that you are. I don't want to throw your alter ego out there. You're key man, you know what I mean? You're bass player. You do all this
name's
shit
associated with it.
Okay, you're a Mythmaker. Yeah. Actually, yeah.
You can look it up.
Go get Mythmaker. It's the tits. It's not like I don't like you because you don't play the drums.
Yeah, I mean...
Like, I'm sure you can play the drums, but it's not like I don't like you or I have a... it's a fucking... It's like almost like the Messiah complex, but with a storyline that has been taught to you by people you don't know.
I don't think I fully follow what you're saying.
Okay. Let me work on it. Like, so modern society, right? I don't know what
Careful.
Dreams brought us here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it did. I mean, it's like, okay, like...
It's related in a way.
Well, you said get a job, have kids, buy a house, da-da-da. Like, this is what I did, and I need to be validated in my choices by you doing the same exact thing. If you choose to do something different...
It makes me think maybe I did something wrong.
Fuck you. Yeah. But that's the thing, though. It's like they didn't... Like, in that world, like, anyone who wants to do that...
it's a noble life.
If it's a really noble life.
It's the life of the householder.
It's a beautiful thing, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's amazing, and I love it, and I respect it.
Just different strokes for different folks.
I'm not shitting on it,
no, absolutely
but just saying that you want to do something different...
But it's because they probably wanted to do something different. They got talked into doing to like getting a job and having kids.
Potentially, yeah. And that's sad as well.
I mean, there's a number of people who definitely hate their lives.
I suppose, yeah. I don't know. I mean, most of us wouldn't exist if it wasn't for those people.
Yeah.
That legitimately sacrificed their own dreams. And that's, I have so, it's not that I don't love that, but I'm choosing, I think, to like, not really like get married and have kids.
Yeah, it's not for everyone.
I'm not really interested in it. I'd rather fucking play, I mean, maybe one day.
Yeah, who knows, you might change. But
yeah.
in the meantime, can't
Well, I think our age our life expectancy is like getting longer too, so you have more time.
I think it's getting shorter, actually.
Is it? Fuck.
Yeah, I think our parents had one of 75. Ours was like 74.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Really? Well, my grandparents were like 100.
Yeah, I mean, it's average life
90s
expectancy. I'm
to
not
100.
just, yeah, average life expectancy.
I got good
I'm just saying
stock.
Everybody. Yeah. Nice. Get some nice longevity.
Yeah, maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see.
I'm spiraling. But yeah. So like it's that idea of like if you don't do what I do,
The world will fall apart.
then fuck you.
Yeah.
And like why do people think that way? I mean, we see the same thing in religion, we see the same thing in politics. I mean, these are the things that create war.
Yeah.
That are useless. Mm-hmm. Over menial little silly things like that, right? No?
It's useful for the masses. I'm going to get back into that exoteric thing.
Okay.
If you want to produce people who are interested in higher things, you have to produce many thousands of times more people that are not interested in those things. Like, not everyone can be a yogi. Not everyone's going to grow up to be a saint or a philosopher.
Of course not. Everyone can grow up to be whatever they want to grow up to be.
Yeah.
But shouldn't we all think that way?
But in order to produce that saint or that yogi or that philosopher, you need thousands of people who are just going to pick vegetables, who are going to clean sewers.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Who are going to just have kids.
Yeah.
They're just going to keep producing and producing and producing people because only about like 0.01% of every generation becomes a saint or a philosopher or a yogi. It's a very, very small number of people. So you have to produce a shit ton of people to get to those few.
So that makes sense.
Yeah. So it's like,
Whoa,
it's the harvest. It's the, in the Christian sense, they talk about the harvest.
Yeah.
That's what it is it's like a human farm and a small number of them will bear spiritual fruit. That's the harvest that God wants for any given world that he has created. Is you're just going to plant a whole bunch of human seeds and some of them will bear some spiritual fruit and then you move on to a higher dimension. Whatever the ascension philosophy is of spiritual enlightenment or illumination is, those are the fruits. And then everybody else just kind of gets turned into compost. And it's like a cold, hard reality that a lot of people don't like to hear.
Of the earth.
Yeah, it's a good
What's the term? From the earth and of the earth?
In, not of. Like, to be in the world, but not of the world.
Or of the earth, but in the earth? Like
Yeah,
when,
the
like
quote
when
is-
your body goes back to the soil.
I thought
what's
you were
that
talking
term?
about something else.
No.
Ashes to ashes?
Well, I guess ashes to ashes, dust to dust. But there's the one that's like from the earth, but back to the earth. I forget what it is.
Yeah.
Because like you know, like you could like I want to do this thing like when I get buried, when I die. I don't know. I'm like
Turned into a tree.
yeah, like they sell like wooden coffins where they plant like tree seeds
Oh, yeah.
on your body, and then your body nourishes
Right. Yeah.
the
The tree.
tree.
Or a rose garden. I want to be cremated.
That'd be so sick. I don't want to be cremated.
You don't? I want to make sure I don't come back in any kind of zombie apocalypse.
No, I believe.
I'm making damn
I
sure that's
believe
not going to
that
happen.
when you get cremated, you fuck up your Bardo loop.
You think so? I think it helps it.
I think it fucks it up.
Oh, I think it gets rid of the attachment. I've read both.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have
That's
to
why-
think about that a little bit more.
Yeah.
But-
Have you ever read the Tibetan Book of the Dead?
It does make sense, actually.
Well, I mean, the pharaohs believed in the Egyptians believed in the preservation of body because it helped them navigate the underworld.
Yeah.
And then there are a lot of other people like the ancient Aryans who became the modern Hindus and Buddhists. They believe in cremation to just bypass the underworld. So, who
Yeah,
knows?
because no, that's true. That is very totally true. It's just which one do you want to do?
Yeah, it's which.
'Cause, like,
yeah.
realistically, I'd like to be put in a coffin with a fucking window where my face is and shot into space.
Oh, wow.
So then I like if I wake up or something, I could like look. I'm like in the middle of nowhere in space. I'm like, wow.
Wow.
Or maybe someday someone finds me and like revives me.
Oh, yeah. You're going to Walt Disney yourself, but
yeah,
in
but
space?
at least I have like a window, but I'm in space.
Okay. Interesting.
Wouldn't that be tight?
Not in my opinion, but if you're into that sort of thing, sure. When I'm done, I want to be done. I don't want to... Oh, I'm done. I'm just done.
I know I'm coming back.
You think so? I'm doing everything I can to avoid coming back.
Not like in this physical form.
Like reincarnating?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
I want to avoid reincarnation at all costs.
I'm only like 7 steps in, I think.
Yeah. I feel like I've been here for a million fucking
like 12
years.
or 13.
Oh, who knows how many? I hear all kinds of conflicting ideas on that.
God knows.
Yeah, some people say you do 13, you do the round of a zodiac, and then a 13th extra. That's the last one.
That's what I'm saying, baby.
Yeah.
I'm like 7 or 8.
And then there are people who say
Maybe
you live
9.
thousands of times, or millions of times until you get it right or something like that.
Maybe I'm 12, actually.
Yeah, maybe.
God knows.
Who knows? Yeah, God knows.
I love that phrase. Well, hey, let's dream about it.
Yeah, well, you can. Yeah, ask the Mahapurusha, our great ancestor. He can, before going to sleep, if you ask for the great human archetype to communicate to you your past and future lives, he'll tell you. He's called the Mahapurusha.
Mahapurusha.
It's kind of like the Christ, like that human, the perfect spiritual blueprint for a human. It's like the sort of proto-god of humanity.
I'm going to write it down when we're done.
Yeah.
Mahapurusha.
I'll give you the mantra for it. I won't say it on the internet, but I'll give it to you when the cameras are off.
Tight, 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 tight.
Tight, 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 tight.
Well, I love you, and I think we're done.
Thanks, sweetie.
Thanks, babe.
Good talks.
Yeah.
And thanks for tuning in.
Deuces.
See you next week.
Bye!